Good morning, sunshine. Welcome to the Salt Lake Center for Spiritual Living. Welcome, December. Come on, bring it on. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. We sure enjoyed having you here last week for our music service. I bring that up only because I forgot to express my gratitude for the amazing unsung heroes of this band, this music team, and that's the people who make the sound and video possible. Raj Harus and his team, Rob Marker, and so many great volunteers, Michael and Mark. Thank you. We threw a lot at them last week, and boy, they always do such a fantastic job. And they never complain. I want to start this beautiful day by singing together. We begin a new month and new music, and this is a great song. It was nominated in the Posse Music Festival. The artist is John Stringer, and the song is You Are Welcome Here. So let's sing together.
Great song and so much truth. You are indeed welcome here. Good morning. Happy Sunday. We're so happy to have you right here in the building with us, and all of you who are joining us virtually. If you are streaming with us, we'd love you to tell us your name and where you're watching. We're learning, people are watching from all over the place, so let us know. We'd love to connect that way. My name is Linda Brewer, and I'm so honored to be your service host this morning. Our service practitioners are Farrell Zeman, who will be sharing a reading and leading us in prayer together, and Katie Hernandez holding high watch there in the back of the room, knowing throughout the service that the best and highest is unfolding for us as we share this sacred time together. Our center is a spiritual community, which is our theme for the month. And it teaches a philosophy for daily living based on spiritual principles and practices that are universal among religions. We honor every pathway by which people seek to know and connect with the divine, and we work on our individual consciousness so that we can help make the world a better place. So today, as we say our purpose statement together, I invite you each to ask yourself, how can I embody this morning? Let's say it together. We are an open, welcoming community, celebrating our divinity, loving our humanity, and nurturing our journeys of spiritual discovery. Thank you. So this month we begin our final month of a year of exploring everyday wonder in all the different areas of our lives. Each month we've looked at a different area, and this month we are focusing on community. Those of you who are new to our center may relate to today's topic. It's called Longing to Belong, and I promise you that we are longing for you to belong here with us, so please know how very grateful we are to have you. Our speaker today is Lanna Cairns, who always feeds our minds and our hearts and souls, and her talks are just awesome, so I'm so excited. And next week, we welcome back our dear friend, one of the many ministers who grew up in this congregation, Reverend Nicole Murgis. So today, right after the service, we hope you'll all join us to deck our halls and decorate our Christmas trees. We want to bring the holiday spirit into this room one last time. And then we invite you to stick around for pizza. And because the Thanksgiving potluck was such a great success, and because we do love to party, we're going to have our annual Christmas party on December 18th. It will be another potluck, but there will also be lots of fun and games, and this is a clue about one of the things that will happen that day. You figure it out. You'll get lots more information about that soon. Okay. Also, December 18th is the last day we will be collecting food for the food bank. Thank you so much for all of you who have been so generous in your donations, and I hope you will remember while you're out shopping just to pick up a little bit extra to share with those who are really struggling to feed themselves and their families this season. It's been a really hard couple of years for people, so anything you can do to help will be appreciated. And we have information in all the usual places about the kinds of things that they need. Wednesday's healing sound bath has been growing, and we hope you'll join our own Shanti Kiefer and her guest musicians one of these Wednesday nights and just check it out for yourself. So if you're visiting us today for the very first time, and now that you've learned a little bit about us, you're still in the room, and you're willing to let us know that you're here, we would love to welcome you. So if you'll raise your hand or stand up, we would love to welcome you. Anybody? Yes, right here. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope that you're enjoying your time so far, and it just gets better and better because of these great people in our wonderful Dallas and Lanna. So anyway, we affirm for you and everyone in this room and all those folks love streaming with us that today you will experience a blessing. So, as I continue each night crossing off a day on the special calendar I've created just for this purpose, I will remind all of you that 35 days from today, Reverend Cindy Edelson, our new senior minister, will be giving our talk and leading our service that day, and we are just ecstatic beyond belief. And yes, indeed. And we're excited. Her wife, Bryn, is going to be here with her that day, even though she has to go back to California. And if everything goes well, and I want you all to put this in your prayers, if the remodeling goes as scheduled, we hope that that Sunday will also be in our new space at 45th South and 7th East. So stay tuned, but just see that every day. See us all in our new bright and light place, okay? All right. So as we prepare to move into that new space, I encourage everyone to join us this year for our annual Burning Bowl service. That will be December 31st at 5 o'clock. So before you move on to whatever way you party or bring in the new year, we invite you to join us as we let go of everything we don't want to carry with us into the new year and set our intentions for all the wonderful things that are going to happen in 2023. So there are more details about everything I've said on our website, which is spirituallyfree.org, and you can also email us there, submit a prayer request, and learn lots more about us, the history of our center, who serves, and all that kind of stuff. The other ways you can always get information on what's happening is by signing up for our weekly newsletter and the activities table out in the foyer, so please avail yourself of that. And I remind you always, our center was founded on and it is grounded in prayer. Our professional prayer practitioners are trained in the art and science of affirmative prayer, and they are always ready to know for you the best and highest in your life, regardless of what circumstances or appearances there may be. The practitioners will know for you divine order and blessings. So please connect with one of them. You can put a prayer request in the prayer box in the lobby, submit one online, or grab somebody wearing their stole, and we will send that to everyone, and the practitioners will all hold you in prayer this week. And so this is the time where we do pray together. So I invite you to settle in. Allow Farrell's reading and the beautiful sacred music to connect you with the God that lives within you, and then Farrell will lead us in prayer.
We are living in a culture entirely hypnotized by illusion of time, in which the so-called present moment is felt as nothing but an infinitesimal hairline between a causation past and an absorbingly important future. We have no present. Our consciousness is almost aware of who we are, but not quite. We are far more than that. We are that life force energy that is conscious and aware and connected to our source.
My life is in the hands 'cause I lean not on my own understanding. My life is in the hands of the Maker of heaven.
And so, knowing that we are in the hands of the divine intelligence, we express our gratitude for that awareness, that consciousness, that energy that flows through us, and we are allowed to use it for the benefit of all. So I am grateful for this knowledge. I'm grateful for this energy that flows through, that is prompting us moment by moment and leading us and guiding us. And all we have to do is accept it. And so I open to accepting it. I accept it for everyone, that's who we are, and that's how we perform. That's how we know what to do. And so we settle ourselves into that knowing in gratitude as we receive the messages we are presented with today. And so I give that in gratitude and thanks and declare it to be. And so it is.
So it is. I chose a song that I wrote. This is coming out of an inspiration after reading some information from, I can't remember the source. I think it was more credible than Wikipedia. But it's the term emoja, which comes from the celebration of Kwanzaa, which comes the day after Christmas. So this is a holiday song. I am struck by how the theme of emoja, it translates as I am we. So it fits right in with our celebration of community. I just want to read a few lyrics before we sing this together. Would you join me in a conversation? I will do all I can to understand. Yes, we're different, but that doesn't have to scare us. I believe we stand on common ground. There are bridges we can build together. We can mend the great divide. An ample dose of humility and forgiveness, because we're connected to every soul and all of life. Let's sing this together. Umoja.
Would you join me in a conversation? I will do all I can to understand.
Thank you. Thanks for singing along. My privilege, as always, to introduce our special music today. What can I say? Dallas Brown, Flute Medicine. Yes. He's working on a couple new CDs, so look forward to that information on his website, and I'm sure it'll be up on Facebook soon. But the collaborations he does with other great musicians and just the spirit, his soul in the music that he shares with us. Dallas Brown.
Oh, Dallas, thank you. That was just awesome. So, our speaker today has spent her whole adult life studying spiritual practices, utilizing them in her own life, and then teaching them to others, both through classes and through the books she has written, one of which gave me permission to be who I am in some areas of my life, which I realize may not be a positive endorsement of Lanna to some of you. But despite that, I feel pretty certain that you will learn something new and feel inspired by what Lanna shares with us today. Please give a warm welcome to our dear friend, Lanna Cairns.
Well, it's always so nice to be part of this community, to share what I feel, what I practice. I'm so moved today, and I usually cry at least once during a sermon, so I'll get it over with fast. But I have some dear friends here who, one is one of the most amazing kindergarten teachers I've ever witnessed in my life, who is going on her mission in January to London, England. And how wonderful it is that she's here with her husband, supporting me and being here. That just means the world to me. So prayers with you always, as you know. So today's topic is called Longing to Belong. And I'm always curious, why is it that people come to church, whatever denomination? I know for me, when I was raised Catholic, I have a master's in religious studies. I feel like I've always been in and out of this conversation. I've always felt the presence of God in my life. I always go to God if I'm troubled. I get on my knees, I pray. I've always felt the presence of something in my life. So when I was living in Los Angeles, I was in not a very good relationship, somebody who was kind of psychologically not the best, a very famous musician, might I add. We had a beautiful house, a beautiful everything, except he was not nice. So I left him with literally $50. This was 25 years ago. I could always have went back home, but I wasn't raised like that. I left him and I moved into the most beautiful new studio apartment in Los Angeles, in Studio City. Actually, Sherman Oaks. And I moved into this apartment and my first rent check bounced. And the landlord was so nice to me. He said, you know, we've all been through troubles, don't worry about it. And of course I could ask my parents, I didn't. But my next door neighbor was a religious science practitioner. And she said, I think you really need to find God. I think you need to come to my center and check us out. And I said, oh, that is the last thing right now I need. I don't have time for God. You know, you lose your way in life, right? And so I did go. I went with her in not a great state. She actually, I think, bribed me. She says, I'll take you for lunch after. So usually food's a good motivation for me. And I went to Agape that Sunday in Los Angeles with Macy Gray performing, and my life changed. And as a former Catholic, we were raised that we were sinners, that everything we did was wrong. You know, I was just back home visiting my mom, went to church, and the first sentence was, forgive me, Lord, for I'm a sinner. I literally fell off my chair, or fell out of the pew, I guess. And when I went to that center, I heard a sentence that changed my life. And it said, you are whole, complete, and perfect, just the way you are. That nothing in you needs to change. What needs to change, if there is anything, is you to reclaim your light, your goodness, your love, your abundance, your peace that's already here. Because you are created in the image and likeness of God. Very powerful things when you come from a tradition, and I've had many people in my family who were nuns, a bishop, priests. You know, we were always in this consciousness, but it was one of blame. It was one of not celebrating who you are innately. So that changed my life when I went to Agape. That I found a message, I found a passion, I found a voice, I felt heard, I studied, I did classes. You know, we celebrate our uniqueness. And you'll know when you study religious science, you take many different classes. Roots, the history of religious science, where we study Ralph Waldo Emerson, where we study Ernest Holmes, where we study Emma Curtis Hopkins, where we study Judge Thomas Troward. And that was the one teacher out of all those four, Judge Thomas Troward, where I felt I finally got what we are all about. I'm a logical thinker. I'm a linear thinker. It came to me from feeling that presence, that wisdom that explained who we are. But we have many different paths. You know, we read Emerson for love. We read Emma Curtis Hopkins for a mystical interpretation. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, is one of unity of all religions, where he really excites us into understanding that there is one path, that is your path, to God. And we find that in our religious tradition by meditating, by studying, by reading, by being of service, by celebrating who we are. So I know when I found religious science, what excited me was when I really figured that out, that I am in the image and likeness of God, I could see others like that others weren't threatened by anything I had to give. So I think we come here because how I see you, you see me. And we realize that when we go to God first, it all works out. You know, I remember I was dating for a while in Napa Valley, couldn't find a husband from Sacramento to San Francisco, just not one eligible bachelor. And my minister there said, you know, I have a cousin who is a workaholic, loves science, loves medicine. I think you would be great together. We met our first date 15 years ago, have 2 kids. The best human being, men in this group excluded from this conversation, but the best man I've ever met in my life. And I thank God every day for abundance, for civility, for joy. He loves to travel. I'm more of a house mouse, so he gets me out of my comfort zone. But I went to God first, and all follows from there. Now I'll get to my sermon. So today it is longing to belong. Matthew 18:20 says, "For where there are 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I am there among them." There is a deep longing for each of us to belong to a group, to have a family. But the bigger truth is that we already are in a group. We already belong by the single fact that we are here today. That there's something within us that's calling us forth to a greater expression of who we are. In religious science, we don't play small. I know someday we're going to have a beautiful center here in Salt Lake. That Reverend Myrna's sermon a couple of weeks ago, all the various ministers we've had, all the various locations, that I know the highest and best is yet to come for us because we leave the door open. I know I serve because I know what religious science has given me. So I prepare days for this. It may not appear that I do, but I do. And it centers me. It's my gift to you. It's my gift to those who don't know of us, that there is a center, that there is a place where you are loved and welcomed. I'm going to read a story called The Magic Soup Stone Story. I bet many of you have heard it, but it doesn't hurt to hear it again. A mysterious stranger comes to town, and he claims that he has a magical stone that you can cook soup with again and again. Everybody is really incredulous, but to prove it, he puts it in a pot of boiling water. As the water is boiling, he declares, maybe some spice would make this a little tastier. So someone goes and gets some spices. Maybe some potatoes and carrots would top it off and it would just be great. And then the soup is just about to be done when the stranger says, maybe I think we need a little bit of chicken or some meat and maybe with some flour. That would round off this experience really well, and so forth. It goes on and on like this. The villagers are amazed. The most wonderful soup is prepared, and they have a great feast together, enjoying and celebrating the magical stone soup. We all hunger in some way to be connected with one another. We sometimes think that we have too little, feeling scarcity in our lives of creativity, of abundance. We forget that we are not alone, that there is a vast reservoir of God's life, of substance. We all have ingredients to contribute in living our lives and recreating the facets of our experience. We can all contribute to a better world. In this spiritual community, we all add that love, humor, insight, wisdom, creativity, and passion are abound. We each put our ingredients into that soup and are all fed and nourished. So as many of you know, we're getting a new minister, a new home. So this is a great time to figure out, what is your gifts here? What can you contribute? Just being here maybe is enough some Sundays. But for those that serve in the musical team, the greeting team, Linda, who has kept us all together, how grateful we are that we have this connection to one another, to support one another, and to uplift one another. Ernest Holmes says in Living the Science of Mind, what would happen if we would convert the energy of fear to faith, the energy of doubt and uncertainty into feeling of belonging in the universe and being safe in it? That we are home just as we are. So our affirmation today is, wherever I go, I belong. Wherever I go, I belong. Wherever I go, I belong. Thomas More says in Care of the soul yearns for attachment, for variety in personality, for intimacy and particularity. So it is these qualities in community that the soul seeks, that we seek that expression in each one of us. Community is the invisible membrane that we all live inside. Community is where we play out our lives on a larger scale. both consciously and unconsciously. It's the first circle in what we ultimately creates our larger societal structures, beginning with family all the way through the culture of a country. At the micro level, it is our individual choices that influence not only our own experience, but the character and subtext of our community. This is the point of power when we begin to make active decisions about how we want to show up here today. This is how diverse our world could be if we're living that gift that we know God gave us, life. So we celebrate this month in a full awareness of our unique gifts, while seeing the gifts of those around us as we enter into a bigger idea of community. The one thing that I love about our faith is that we live in infinite abundance. You know, God doesn't create 2 trees and say, okay, all you 8 million billion people enjoy them. We have an infinite variety of talent, of money. You know, I noticed last night, my husband and I, every Christmas season, we go through Starbucks, get hot chocolates, and well, I get a chai, but we get a little beverage, and we drive around and we look at Christmas lights, how beautiful they are. I love the red, green, white. I love the, magnetic, gorgeous purples and silvers and all of those. And every time we drive by a house, I say to my husband, oh, those are my favorite lights. And then around the corner, it's like, oh, no, I think these are my favorite lights. But when I go home, I am so overwhelmed by how wonderful people are, that they spend time, money, making their house beautiful for the holidays. Because for us, as religious scientists in many faiths, we celebrate the light within each of us, all the time, that's always on. We just choose not to sometimes look that direction. But God is always there. We live under God's grace, and we're always forgiven. Jim Lockhart says here in The Beloved Community, when we come into community, we are recognizing the soul's call to commune with others and actualizing more of our potential to love and to be of deep service to creation, right? It's interesting when we come to our church here, I would always like to do a video or take a picture of someone's aura before they come and after they leave, to see the energy situating in themselves, not fragmented, not alarmed, but to be centered in the truth of who we all truly are. In the science of mind, it leads us into wholeness. Wholeness is an individual experience, and the peace and wholeness that expresses through the collective expression of oneness. Being in our community, creating an inviting space where not only the individual, but the community flourishes, assisting in creating a world that works for everyone. This is a similar progression to that of the 4 kingdoms of consciousness we talk about, evolving from to-me consciousness to as-me consciousness, right? So we don't do it to me, but we do it as the fullness of God that already is. There are 3 activities, one says, in living gently in a violent world, that are absolutely vital to the creation of the community. The first is eating together around the same table. The second is praying together. And the third is celebrating together. I think as religious scientists, we do those pretty well. The first one especially. So when I choose to embody belonging as Lanna Cairns, I acknowledge my unique gifts and prepare myself to share them in a service to a big idea. I love teaching. I love reading. I think in my heart I'm an academic. I love ideas. I love being in the education team. I love praying with people. But just because I do it doesn't mean you can't, right? We have amazing musicians here. Rick, who's a composer, a feeler, who lights the way for us. I celebrate him, he celebrates me, but we're both of service to something better and bigger, and that is God. So our human needs, as 3 discussions to illustrate this point of view, is one is our human need to belong to an innate state of being of spirit. We come in this world with a need to belong to someone or something. I know when I had my first son, and it was a very long labor, and he was in NICU for a week, And I'll never forget that people would come in, volunteers, just to hold the babies. And I said to the doctor, I was, after you give birth, sometimes you're a little bit of a space cadet, but I said, are those kidnappers? Who are those people in the NICU, in the nursery? And he said, no, they're actually volunteers just holding your child. And I said, how really unusual that is. And I remember this OBGYN saying, she said, touch, connection is the greatest medicine. I read recently in Bali, they hold a child for 1 to 2 years, the mother, constantly walking around with her child. So her child feels that intimacy, that connection, that safety. I know when my boys were really little, I'd read to them, and sometimes they would look at the words and the pictures, but a lot of the time they would be looking at me. And it warmed my heart. And I could see these 2 little baby eyes looking right here. And I'm not that very animated. I thought, boy, I'm going to put them to sleep. But it was interesting, their way of wanting to connect with me as their mother. Freud says that there are 3 things that contribute to your overall health. One is sometimes there are things that happen, like disasters, things you can't control. One is getting older, and one is people. So for us as religious scientists, to be very, to have discernment, to have a bar where we look at people who enliven us, inspire us, right? We don't play small. We play big in life because we know we are in service to a higher and better good. Sometimes we protect ourselves from the fear of rejection by saying, I don't belong here to this community. We isolate ourselves to avoid any sort of criticism. We need to lean into the urge to belong, which calls us to the both vulnerable, to be vulnerable, and to be transparent. It's easy to hide in home with the 55 billion TV shows on. Do people read anymore? I noticed I read less. There's so many ways that want you in the world that just to isolate yourself, but to reach out, to connect, to combat mental illness, a feeling of unease or dis-ease. We need to reach out because we're all here to support one another. We're all on the path to a higher and better good for ourselves and for the world. That is why people in ministry serve. They know to leave the light on is the way to go. December 8th marks a Bodhi Day, a Buddhist holy day, which is celebrated in Japan. And this tradition includes starting the day by decorating a tree, the tree of awakening they call it, with strings of multicolored lights and beads, symbolizing the varied paths to nirvana and signifying the unity of all life. It is this recognition that makes this practice come to life. In your seat now, you belong. You are of spirit. You are a divine being of light. In this month of light, each one of you is a bright light on that tree of awareness. You belong here. You have been called here. Simply being you is more than enough. Karen, another story, was a woman who was 37 years old when she first set foot at a Center for Spiritual Living Center. She was married with 1 child, came alone. Her husband didn't support her, yet she felt called to show up. Something within her triggered her to feel a higher sense of something. She didn't know anyone. The room was small, people were friendly, the talk was good. She felt very comfortable enough to return the following Sunday and the Sunday after that. On both occasions, she left as soon as the service ended. She left without speaking to anyone or even waiting to shake hands with the minister. On the 3rd Sunday, the talk moved Karen to tears. Unable to move, she sat in her chair as volunteers began packing up the place. The one member approached her then and said gently, "How are you? How can I help you? How can I assist you?" She felt embarrassed, yet she felt seen. For the first time in years, she felt like she belonged. Karen had been invited into a group, and she saw that even while crying, even at the most vulnerable in her life, that she belonged somewhere. Peter Block says in Community, the Structure of Belonging, that if the essence of community is to create structures for belonging, then we are constantly inviting people who are strangers to us, one another, into this circle of life. So the call to action for us today is now to acknowledge now that you belong by putting your hand over your heart and saying these words, I belong. I belong. I have a home. I have a home. I am seen. I am seen. And I am loved. And I am loved. As you leave today, extend that feeling outwards. Find someone and say, thank you for being here. You belong here. And as religious scientists, you know what's funny about us is that we're just givers. Give, give, give. If you like my scarf, take it. If you don't like anything, take it. But we have a hard time receiving, right? We have a hard time receiving. Sometimes someone will say something to me, and I look at them very suspiciously. I think, what are they up to? Than just receiving it. And yet, for me to give, to love, it's abound. I enjoy it more than receiving. But to hear those words that you belong here, you know, thank you, Rick Charette, for driving the music team for 20 plus years, for practicing, for getting things together, right? Thank you, Linda Brewer, for keeping the lights on, for worrying about our finances, education, right? There are a lot of people in this center that do really good work for the world. So in closing, I'm going to read a quote from one of my teachers, is St. Augustine, the Confessions, and then we'll do a prayer at the end. So St. Augustine here says in the Confessions, in the morning I will stand and see my God, who sheds the light of salvation on my face, who will breathe life even into our mortal bodies through the Spirit who dwells in us and has been mercifully hovering over the dark chaos of our inner being. By this we have received, even on our pilgrim way, the pledge that we are children of the light already. Saved only in hope we may be, but we are at home in the light and in the day. No longer are we children of the night or of darkness. So today, the affirmative prayer, I'll read it, and then we'll go into a short meditation. So today, I give thanks to know that my plans, dreams, and visions always carry the seed of possibility, and that by showing up and believing in all the good, I place myself in the realm of answered prayer, where all things are possible. Wherever I receive love, that's my home. So we thank God forever under the grace of God, that God is with us, guiding us, and loving us. So together we simply say, amen, and so it is. So let's close our eyes in this feeling of love, in this feeling of infinite possibility, supporting our community, leaving the door open for those who struggle in the dark, where we inspire and love our lives so much that it sheds a different experience for those all around us. By going to our God, the God of our hearts, where we are always under grace, always loved, always shown the way, we breathe in that light of hope, that light of goodness, that light of talent, that light of creativity, of abundance, of where anything is possible, when it inspires and just acknowledges that there is just that one life. So I know that I am connected to that source, that everyone here present is connected to the God of their hearts, that we serve our lives in the highest and best way for all involved. And by doing so, we open the door for others, that we are a beacon of light for those that are experiencing a tough time in life. This experience isn't easy, but we know that with the help of God, with the help of our community, one another, that we can get through anything. So I know as we create this center, with our new minister arriving, that we are on our A game, bringing the best and highest we can to be of service to that one life. So I am so deeply grateful for everyone being here today, for showing up for their highest and best to emerge, to thank God as we just show the light of who we are to those all around us. So being of service, being in this place, we are always guided, always inspired, and the goodness of God never leaves us. So during this month of December, as we build our community to be strong, as we just keep the light on for those that are experiencing darkness in a very tender time, for those that have lost loved ones, for those that are struggling, we are here as a light, we are here as support. So I am so deeply grateful for our faith. I'm so deeply grateful for our founders, for everyone here who greets new people, who serves the refreshments, who sings, who prays, who leads the service. I am grateful for everybody being here and for bringing their highest and best to help those, to help one another in this space. And so together with one heartbeat, with one love, we simply say, and so it is. Amen.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I give. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
We are so blessed. Thank you so much, Lanna. That was just awesome. What a wonderful reminder about what it is to belong in this community, and that everyone is a part of the divine, and here expressing the unique being that you are. We're so grateful. And this is that time in our service where we express that gratitude for the many blessings that come into our life. There is a law that as we give, so we receive. And this is that time where we put that law of circulation into practice. So as the ushers are coming forward, I invite you to bring your gift into your hand, into your mind, or into your heart. You can always give text to give, and I know many of you give monthly. But we accept actual donations right here too, so whatever works. Let's say together our giving affirmation. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Filled with gratitude, I let this be, and so it is.
All that I need comes to me. All
So let's hear some more from our dear friend Dallas Brown, Mr. Flute Medicine.
Thank
Thank you, Dallas. Always such a pleasure. And thank you, Lanna. I, for some reason, envisioned a sandbox. And I'm so grateful that all of you are in my sandbox. And we get to play and create together. And sometimes work things out in our little corners, but we're always in the same sandbox. And I remember through that wisdom from Lanna's talk that there's no gate around the sandbox, that there's no limit to it. There's no borders around it. It's open to all. It's fun to invite others to play in our sandbox. So that's where I went. Lanna, thank you very much. That was really fun. And thank you for being in my sandbox. I want to remind you that we have a pizza party, decorating party, because that's what we do, we party. There's lots of holiday decorations up in the loft that we'll bring down, and we'll have fun decorating the stage and around our little community. And I invite you to play with us, and then we'll enjoy a pizza together. So I hope you could make that part of your day today. As always, have a blessed week. Let's stand together and sing our closing song. Aptly put this month, together, we can change the world.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I believe it's not too late. Together we can change the world. Lay the puzzle pieces out. Find out what it's all about. Together we can change the world. I just got this by myself, but I'm asking for your help. Together we can change the world. Sailing past where it's been charted. Roll your sleeves up, let's get started. Together we can change the world. Together we can change the world. With our hands and with our hearts, we can dare to make a start. Together we can change the world. What if we spoke with one voice, knowing that we have a choice? Together we can change the world. I just got this by myself, but I'm asking for your help. Together we can change the world. Sailing past where it's been charted. Roll your sleeves up, let's get started. Together we can change the world. Together we can change the world. Change your mind and change your life. Set aside the fear and strife. Together we can change the world. When we open up our eyes, then we start to realize. Together we can change the world. I can start this by myself, but I'm asking for your help. Together we can change the world. Sailing past where it's been charted. Roll your sleeves up, let's get started. Together we can change the world. Together we can change the